Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. And it's a good time for a party, I think. The Pirate Broadcast is here today, and we have interesting people doing interesting things every single day, 5 days a week. And I invite you to join us in the pirate community where you can connect with each other. You can have conversations. You can engage, enlighten yourself on some of the things that we share every single day. And I love the fact that we have an opportunity to meet new people, make new connections, and generate new conversations. So today I have Judith. Judith is a friend of mine from Houston. When I was in Houston, I was there for over almost a decade, and networking and building things and creating things and meeting people and hanging out. And I wanted to bring her onto the Pirate Broadcast to introduce her to the community and allow you the opportunity to make that connection, because she's doing some interesting things that we're going to discover today. Judith, how are you?
I'm so good. Life is really good.
I can't imagine all of the things that are taking place with everybody's life here and there. You know, you just just not too much missed the hurricane.
We did, yeah.
Recently. So that's good. That's a good thing. So I appreciate, I was like looking at the weather. It's like, prayers out to everybody that was impacted by the hurricane, and I'm happy for those that didn't get impacted, that because I thought it was going to be a nasty one. So I was in Harvey. I was there for that, and it's not something that I appreciate for anybody else. So
yeah, we were very fortunate. My husband and I live in a rural community west of Houston, and it's particularly in times of pandemic, quarantine, lockdowns, you can't go anywhere, and hurricanes coming through the Gulf Coast, that we just look at each other and go, we're really happy we live here. We're very, very happy we live here. Yeah.
No kidding. So tell us, last time we talked, you were networking, you had a networking group, you had a lot of people involved and engaged in a couple of different activities, and you were sharing kind of like what I love to do, is highlight other people and bringing them together. And now we have quarantine and pandemic and all this kind of 2020. We'll just call it 2020. What is, you've had to adjust and modify some of the things that you're doing. So I know you went on a journey, and you're developing and increasing some of the things you're doing. So talk us about your journey from there until now.
Yeah. So the networking has shifted and morphed. My tenure as the lead of a group in Houston came to an end, and that got handed off to somebody else. And so I'm enjoying my time now just as a participant in networking, and that looks very different. I have actually been using online communication tools I was thinking about that this morning, probably for about 5 or 6 years. I was introduced to Zoom a while back. I mean, like back before anybody knew what Zoom was, and have been using that. So now I'm, participating in hybrid models where some people are live and some people are online. I'm doing some strictly online work. My client base, I do 100% of that work online. So it's just been interesting to see how it's shifted and changed. Yeah.
And it's interesting how the technology is allowing us to actually expand our reach and our ability to connect with other people. So has that been your experience? Are you staying close to home and doing outreach on a local level, or are you expanding your network out to other areas?
Yeah, so my network is actually the United States and Canada. And because I live in this little rural community, you probably remember 290 in Houston. And for those of you who aren't Houstonians, that was one of the major interstates coming into Houston. Well, it went through, like most big cities, horrific construction, and things were dicey for a long time. And when I looked at that, I determined that what I would like to do is be accessible online to my clients, so that one, I didn't have to run up and down the roads, and two, I would be able to reach people all over. And so I have been doing Zoom meetings with my clients for several years now. And like I said, I've got clients all over the United States and all over and in Canada. And it is just wonderful because I get up, I walk across the house, I have a dedicated office. If I need complete privacy, I'm able to close my door. My husband understands what that looks like. And I work from home every single day. It is just a beautiful, beautiful thing for me. There's no overhead except, a few little costs, my calendar, scheduling, and Zoom and things like that. But yes, I really enjoy it.
Well, it's interesting because what I've seen develop is there's the people that are really thriving in a remote workforce style working situation, and the other ones that are going crazy because they don't have the community and they don't have the contact and the interaction with individuals. So we almost have to frame it in a way that says, oh, I enjoy working at home. You have to, I get to enjoy my house today. I get to stay where I am and do what I want. And it's not as if you're locked in your home. You can go outside, you could take a walk, you could, get out and go for, once in a while, I just get out and go for a drive, go out in the country and drive around. And so it's not as if we're locked down per se. It's more that we are available to more people online. And if you adapt this online behavior and adapt this connection, I've met some incredible friends that I haven't met in person, but I would consider them absolute friends over the years. And, even before COVID, I've been a remote worker for 10 years, doing work. Even though I networked in Houston, I still was doing a lot of the work that I do remotely. So it's definitely an opportunity for a lot of people to adjust how they position themselves for work.
So much of what you said resonates with me because I did the same thing. I looked at my business model and I thought, how do I have the biggest impact and reach the most people? And that was through working remotely. And then I thought, how do I get the word out about it? And so I started doing that. Of course, networking helps. But what I have found is that word of mouth has worked really well for me. My clients tell other people about me, and then they tell other people about me. And so that has helped. So, it's kind of, we started here and then we expanded out and expanded out and expanded out. So when the quarantine came and we were literally on don't go anywhere here in Texas, for a while. Yeah. And it was not a big, huge shift for me. And another thing, my husband and I talk about this. We're empty nesters. My youngest is 22. She's independent, lives on her own. I've got 5 adult children. His daughter lives with her partner up in Vermont. It's just the 2 of us and our cat. And I can't imagine trying to make those adjustments and still have small children at home or teenagers at home. That would be a whole different place to be. So I'm very, very fortunate that I'm in this place in my life. My husband's been able to keep his business going remotely. In fact, he prefers it to what he usually does. So it's been an easy transition for us, not so much for some other people. Other people are experiencing lots of stress around this. And especially for extroverts, they are really missing being around people. And that's been hard for them. You mentioned going out for a walk. I started walking several months ago. I walk like 5 days a week. I walk 2 to 3 miles every morning. And I've got my husband. We're walking together now. So that's nice to get out, see our neighborhood, see different things. So we're having fun with that too.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Good for you. I unfortunately broke my hip, so I'm on the mend.
Oh,
I'm on the mend for getting my hip back in place and starting to walk without a crutch. So
wow.
And I'll get back on track. I get back on track. So It's kind of crazy. It's a crazy story because, as you mentioned, my dad passed away,
Right.
and we were at his service, and I went out with my son to go take, some pictures. We were doing some photography, and I just went down this. I went to go down this short, apparently hill, and it just was longer and steeper than I imagined, and I launched like Superman and landed like a rock.
Right.
And we were 20 miles back in the back country, and it's like we were fortunately the car was nearby, and so I was able to get back in the car and climb back in and get to the hospital and have surgery. But another adventure in the book of life, it's like another chapter. We just have to deal with it, and we have to think about what we want to do next. So you've had similar experience with, making changes and adapting and learning that behavior. So what are you focused on now? Are you focused on with your business? What are you helping others with at this point in time?
Let me set this up a little bit for you so it makes sense. Okay?
Would you please?
I went through a really messy divorce about 23 years ago. And in the middle of the divorce, I was raised that the family culture was you don't get divorced, you work it out, you stay married at all costs, no matter what. So when my husband came and announced that he wanted a divorce, we tried to work it out a couple of times. I ended up pregnant. This is why I've got a 22-year-old. And so we ended up continuing the divorce. We got divorced. We had some ugly things going on with custody battles. And I jumped straight into supermom mode because I had this infant and 4 other kids from 12 to 8. And I never took the time or even knew the necessity of healing that I needed to go through. And subsequently remarried. I married a man who didn't raise kids, who didn't have the same family culture that I had. And needless to say, that was a pretty rocky marriage too. Still married to him, and that's part of the story. It took a moment in time for me to decide that everything that was going on in my world, the career I had, the way I was living my life, the way I related to my children, the way I related to my husband, didn't work for me. And I pretty much put a hard stop to it all and took what I call an adult time out for my life, and really got introspective and spent a lot of time healing and taking the time to forgive myself and be willing, I wasn't there yet, but be willing to think about forgiving my ex-husband and prioritize what I wanted for my life. And it was interesting because I was on an airplane coming home from a convention, and I was sitting next to this woman that I was an acquaintance with. And she wasn't like one of my favorite people in the world. And then when I saw that I was going to sit next to her on the plane ride home, I was like, oh, great, I got to sit next to her, kind of thing. It was really funny. And we were doing the whole little, tell me about your life kind of conversation. And so I told her, that I had left this fantastic career as a financial advisor. I was making well over 6 figures. I was winning all these awards and trips, and that I had left all of that. And I had seen that coming from a place of weakness and failure. And she looked at me and she said, what gave you the courage and strength to do that? And man, that question completely changed the trajectory of my life, because she reframed what I did for me. And it gave me the courage to keep going in reframing. So the healing journey led to one thing, which led to another thing. I got certified as a healer in some different modalities. And now that's expanded even more. So my practice now is a modality called healing from the body level up. I use other modalities that I'm also certified in. And what I do is I help people heal. I help people release all of the blocks and the baggage and the nasty stuff that they're carrying that's keeping them from living their best life, fulfilling their potential. I mean, it sounds so trite, but it's so, so deep and so important. And I think sometimes I'm living in an alternate universe because I look at all the unrest that we've got in our country, and yes, my heart hurts over it. And I look at the political strife that we've got, and I look at the things like hurricanes hitting Louisiana. And yet every day I can get up and I can be in a complete state of gratitude and truly say it is well with my soul. And I know in my heart of hearts that no matter what the circumstances, we can find that place of peace and gratitude and live in that.
I wake up every single day with gratitude.
Yes, I know that about you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've known that about me for a while because of, I've been through a few circumstances that are like not necessarily a comfortable environment.
That's a very slight way of putting it. Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely correct, because right now, we see a lot of conflict. We see a lot of conflict being broadcast. And I don't know that it's necessarily accurate for 95% of people in the US. I think there's a lot of people that are very comfortable with where they are and what they're doing and where they're going. And they know and understand that if they have a little gratitude and a positive attitude, you can be challenged by a lot of things and you can still make it through to the other side. And it's just an experience that we have lessons to learn, and we really don't understand the value of and the joy of the small things in life until we've actually had to be challenged by some of the other things in life. And so, I see a lot of people becoming more in alignment with healing and understanding what their emotional triggers are and why they feel a certain way and how they can change the way they feel. And I think it goes back to what your original point was: forgiveness. We can't change the past. Let it go and allow it to be a lesson that we can use to move us forward. And I think that's a really important lesson that we can actually take with us and make sure that we understand that there is hope, there is love, and there's a little bit of kindness, because kindness is cool, and smiles are free, as I say every day. It's like it costs nothing to be kind to somebody. So let's make sure that we can actually use that as a guidepost for what we're doing in our life, and gratitude is a big part of that.
I really agree with you. To get a little existential on you, I heard someone posit one time that there is no good and no bad that occurs in our life. Everything simply shows up for the lesson that we have in it. And that, this journey is for us to learn from and to evolve from and to keep growing from. And when you look at it that way, it takes the bite out of the horrible, yucky, bad feeling stuff, because then you can step back and you can say, what is the lesson for this in me? When I first started thinking about forgiving my ex-husband, I couldn't in my flesh forgive him. So I created the space for that to happen. And I actually stood in that space for many years. And I asked, Source to come in. I call it the Holy Spirit. I'm a faith-filled woman. I have my words that I use to describe it. Other people have other words. And I asked the Holy Spirit to just come and stand in that gap for me until I caught up with it. And it was the moment that I really, really, really got, and I mean, not just in my head, but I mean like in every cell of my body, that I really got that we all have stuff. We all have family dynamics, generational patterns, life experiences. We even carry forward things, into this life, that every one of us has that. And that's what creates our actions, our beliefs, our thought patterns. And when I really, really embodied that, that's the minute I was able to step into forgiveness for my ex-husband. and why I'm able to live without all the anger, because I see that everybody's got their stuff. And it's been a real interesting thing for me watching Facebook posts, particularly, because I'll see people and the vitriol and the hatred and the fear. I mean, you can just see it spewing out of their post. And I read those and I feel for them. I feel for them that they're carrying all of that for them, because you don't have to stay in that state. There is a way to release all of that. And that's what I work through with my clients. That's what I help them get to, is a place of peace. We're not discounting any of the experiences or any of the things that have happened. We're just moving into a different state around them, a different way of being around them.
It has to feel much more peaceful, releasing the toxic feelings you had for your ex previously. I mean, that's a lot of years of not feeling completely 100% comfortable with yourself.
You're right. And the real effects that it had on my marriage that I'm in now with my second husband, I mean, we've been to hell and back a few times. And some of it was him and some of it was me.
Yeah.
And when I started my healing journey, basically around the stuff that happened with my ex-husband, it has healed my marriage too, because the more I heal, the more I grow. You know, it kind of pulls my husband along with me, because of course that radiates out. You know, I've shifted energetically, I've shifted at the core, and you know, those shifts have radiated out. So it's been very, very neat to see.
Yeah. We cannot live in a vacuum. Things that we do or feel or have control over in our life. You know, when we're around other people, either they bring something to the party or we deliver something to the party. So we're all connected in some way. And that energy that we have, either positive or negative, will allow other people to feel a certain way. And I see it time and time again. And like you mentioned on Facebook, it's terrible. So and away from Facebook, because I'm on Facebook, the Pirate Broadcast streams on Facebook, you know, YouTube, Periscope, and LinkedIn Live. And there's so many wonderful people here in this community. And I just want to highlight a few. You may know Hyatt Ives. So he's in Houston as well. And Gabriel is someone else that you need to meet. He does a show. Good morning, fellow pirates. I'm always excited to see every single one of you wonderful people. He's an amazing individual that has a wonderful show every evening. Michael Baker, it's Within You Life Coaching of Spiritual Means, Guidance to Achievement, Georgetown, Florida. Fantastic, Michael. Thank you so much for being here. And Slap Tags, when you hunt for something positive, you will always find it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that so much. Angie Schumann, good morning, everyone. She's an amazing supporter, and she's just a positive individual that I love being around. Michael Baker says, morning, Angie. Angie says, good morning, Michael. And I'm reading these off because right after this broadcast, the podcast is created. So those are the people that listen afterwards can understand and engage with what we're saying. So Michael Baker, faith overcomes fear. I love that. I'm currently trying to find the lessons in my current situation.
Yeah, well, see, Angie is somebody I would love to have a conversation with. And
yes.
Offer her that hope that you're talking about. You know, you said something that was interesting, Russ. You said about being able to control. Sometimes we can't control situations. You know, you might be driving down the road and somebody T-bones you, or somebody almost T-bones you, right? You can't control that. What you can control is your reaction to it.
Absolutely.
And your emotions around it. That's 100% of what we have control over. And what I have learned in my life is the more I release, the more I clear, the more I balance, the easier it is to just have a, oh, okay, that happened kind of reaction. I had a guy who was coming down the street at me in a one-way street. I was heading north and he was coming south. And I looked at it and I went, okay, well, that's interesting. That guy's going the wrong way on the street. I used some meditation techniques, some deep breathing, and I looked for what my reaction would be. Oh, I can turn off over here and get out of his way. And there was no excitement. There was no fear. There was no, anything.
No panic attack.
No panic. It was just like, oh, okay, that's happening. Here's a solution. And that's a beautiful way to be, that calm, I've got a solution, or I can find a way out, or I can deal with this without going into the panic. That state is just a beautiful place to be.
Yeah. It's almost as if we sit and we can just extract ourselves outside of our thoughts and say, oh, that's an interesting idea. That's an interesting thought. Why am I feeling that way?
Exactly.
And observe it, take in what we feel is important and necessary and release the rest. And it's, our mind is a funny thing because we can tell our mind, and this is not easy to do. However, it sounds pretty simple. And it's like, you can convince yourself that, if anything, okay, this is X or this is Y or circumstance. Your mind doesn't know. I mean, it's gonna release. It's gonna accept anything you tell it. So you might as well tell it good things, right?
Exactly. The other part of that is when we have those negative emotions show up, they're just a normal part of our fight, flight, or freeze reaction. We're wired that way. That's part of our limbic system. And when that amygdala fires off, we're wired that way. What we want to make sure we do is just release them. Release those negative emotions. It's when they become trapped and get caught up in our septic tank, kind of a way to put it, and then don't release and they create all that sludge. That's when all the yuck kind of starts showing up for us. And so methods and ways to do that too.
Well, and everybody can connect with you. I know you're out there, judithrichey.com. And we'll leave this all in the show notes at russjohns.com. And so people can connect with you. They can meet with you. You're on LinkedIn. So, and tell Judith that you're a pirate and you're a pirate community, and, leave her a nice note and let her know that you're interested in connecting. So Jimmy says, sorry, I'm late to the party, late to the table. Jimmy, we have to connect soon. I haven't heard from you for a while. We haven't connected. Michael Baker, connect with me if you want to learn life coaching, spiritual means, and guidance to achievement. I'd be happy to serve, help and figure out. It sounds like you're both doing very similar things. And there's a lot of people out there willing to help. They're in a mode of helping. And I think that's a beautiful thing and very helpful and needed right now. So everybody, find the person that is going to help you improve your life. There's no reason that we can't improve our situation, learning every day, being a better person than you were yesterday. All of those things are important. Hyatt says, Judith, looking forward to connecting with you. Michael Baker says, yes, sharing our experience, strength, and hope. So it's amazing to think about how we can proceed forward and what we can do. So, Judith, do you have any legacy thoughts that you want to leave with everyone here today and share a few ideas that, we can walk away with and go about our day and maybe have a lighter step in our walk and do a few things that are positive in the next little while?
Sure. The one thing that I focus on is the fact that we're all connected. You said it earlier. We're all part of the collective consciousness. One of my clients asked me, how do we achieve world peace? And I said, it starts with achieving peace in yourself. So my thought is, if you're not feeling peaceful in whatever area, you may have some over here and not over here. If you're not having peace in any area of your life, it's achievable, it's obtainable. And it's through the work that I do and others that we can help you get to that place of peace. And then as you live in that state of being, that radiates out. Other people connect with you. They feel it. And then it encourages them to seek that for their lives too. That's a great way for us to be.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really, truly appreciate you. And it's so wonderful to connect again.
I thank you for the opportunity. And yes, it's so good to connect with you.
And now you're part of the pirate community. You're a pirate now, Judith.
Hey. I need to get a flag and put it behind me and get my eye patch.
Well, and there's, the whole point of the pirate community is kindness. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. Because, I really truly believe that we all make a difference. We all have a gift. We all have something we can deliver to the universe. And if we make it a positive impact in someone around us, that has a ripple effect and it continues out. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. Just stay positive. Make sure that you're moving forward, doing what you can with what you have, and just do what you can to improve the day. So thank you so much for being here, Judith. I look forward to the next opportunity. And as always, everyone, I'll say it again. I'll continue to say it. I've been saying it for years, is kindness is cool and smiles are free. And you enjoy the day. Take care, everyone. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.